Alright guys, big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and today we have a deck profile with the Reverse and the Emperor. Did you guys know that the Dudley Reverse has two Emperors in his name? His name is Great Emperor Dudley Emperor Reverse. You don't believe me? Go check it out. Yeah. Okay, here you go. Great Demon Emperor Dudley Emperor Reverse. Nice name, bro. Nice name. Alright, so big welcome to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and as I said before, we are here to do a deck profile on Dudleys. So this will be a long deck profile because there is so much to talk about when it comes to Dudley Emperor himself, and now even the Reverse. There is lots of history to talk about, but also the new cards to explain. If you guys want to see the combo, then the combo is already on the channel. The link will be in the description section below. And if you want to know more about the cards themselves, the new cards that have been revealed already for Spike Brothers, you could also check the video out from Meta Nerd's channel. There will also be a link for that in the description as well. Alright, so when it comes to Dudley Emperor, as you can see from the playmat, more of in the reverse theme, of course, Dudley Emperor himself is a card that has lots of history when it comes to Spike Brothers. So before we jump into the history of these two cards, or especially Emperor, go get some snacks and get something to drink, but some healthy drink, enough with soda and other stuff. Some tea, yeah, that's a good one, Fira. So some tea or some water is always good, or get whatever you like. And then come back and enjoy. Alright, so when we start with the history of Emperor, did you guys know that Dudley Emperor was actually the boss monster for Spike Brothers for a very long time? Why? Because the first ever main Vanguard that we got in Vanguard was actually Siegfried, General Siegfried. And Siegfried was the main Vanguard from set 2, from the original Vanguard till the Limit Break era. And then we finally got this, which is Dudley Emperor, and that was, I think, one of the first Limit Breakers that we got in Spike Brothers. And this card was so good that we kept playing it during the whole Limit Break era till the Legion era. And then you say, yo, T-Boy, did you really play this card for the whole Limit Break era? Yeah, we did. Why did you? Well, basically the card was really good. It was very consistent. It had 10k, which was bad. The power of the unit was 10k, not 11. But even with that, we kept playing it. Although cards like Graceful Catapult came out, the card was less consistent. So Dudley Emperor being that long, the main boss of Spike Brothers, is a card that we really wanted to see back. And when we finally got it, he was a card that you could not really use with Rising Nova, because Rising Nova only copied the skill and not the name. And because of that, he actually has a deck of on his own, which is amazing. Now, enough about Emperor, let's talk about the Reverse. So then you say, yo, we thought that Spike Brothers were never reversed. So is there a history for the Reverse? Well, actually, no, there is not. There is no history for Emperor Reverse or any Reverse. Why is that? Because when we saw the show, the anime of Vanguard, and how Kyo actually represented in the anime with Emperor was amazing, because the fun thing is that Kyo is actually one of the smallest characters in Cardfight Vanguard, but he played a role as he was Bigfoot, and then he was actually playing Emperor with the Avalanche, which was amazing. And then at the end of that chapter, when we got into the Reverse, Kyo was actually the one who was destroying the most reversed players, because he was chilling at the front of the building, which is the building of AL4, and he was just destroying everybody so nobody could go inside. So Kyo, basically with his two friends, maybe even single-handedly, actually unreversed most of the players there. So he was never reversed, and so Dudley Emperor was never reversed. So this is actually kind of interesting that they chose the Emperor to be the one which is amazing because maybe in some other dimension, Kyo actually got reversed. So enough about all of that, enough about history lessons, because why not? And let's just jump into the deck profile. So when it comes to the grade 3s, I will first go fast through the deck profile, then I'll come back and explain the cards and also what other cards you could put in here. For the grade 3 lineup, we play 4 copies of the Reverse, added by 4 copies of Emperor, and then 3 copies of Lucifer. This is basically just 4-4-3 for the consistency of the deck to get the right targets to your hand. And later on, I will tell you if you could change the ratio or not. Because if you think that you could play less Emperors, you're mistaken. If you think you could play less Lucifers, you're mistaken. But you could play less Reverses. But again, the deck is the Reverse and you want to get the right target to your hand. So yeah. For the grade 2s, we play 4 copies of Dudley Davy. Very important to also play 4 copies of Spruits. And then 3 copies of Fullback. This is changeable, you could change it to something different. Again, I'll talk about that later. For the grade 1s, we play another very important card to have in the deck, which is Ambush Dexter. 4 copies of, 3 Daisy. You could not really play less, but you could play more. Not needed, but you could. And then the 3 copies, of course, of Machine Gun Gloria. And last but not least, as a one-off, we play 1 Acrobat Verdi. No SPs in here because they are in Rising. Right, for the grade 0s or the triggers, let's start with the starter, which is Sniper. You can play whatever starter you want. I like Sniper because he's an SP. Then we have grade 3s, heals, the Heal Guardians. Again, in this deck, they're very good. You could pretty much Dexter them into anything you want. They are also just good attackers because with the Dudley skill you could just put them back. So very good, very important, and they help with when you get rushed or just in the early game in general. For the draw triggers, we actually play 7 draws because most of the time I go Force 2 in this deck and draws actually are better with Force 2. And for the crits, we play 5 crits. I'm thinking about going only 4 crits and 8 draws, but for now 5 on 7 works actually quite well for me. Just 1 copy of Fera and 1 copy of Pauline for good luck. Alright, now we could come back, explain a little bit about the deck. Let's start with the triggers. So we have the grade 0s. I already explained that you actually focus more on Force 2. So because of that, you actually need less crits because you also have lots of drive checks from your Vanguard and you kind of need field. So sometimes that extra card on hand make a big difference. That's why we play a little bit more draws. Is it necessary to play the 8 draws? I play my Rising with 8 draws. I don't think in this deck it is. The crits are still good. But again, 5 on 7 works really good for me. So just keep it at that. Heals already explained, very important to play the grade 3 heals. Not only because it's a Heal Guardian, but also because it's a grade 3. You could search it with Verdi, but you could also Ambush Dexter it into anything else. And again, if you haven't seen the combo video, you should pause this video right now, check the combo video because it's very important for you to understand how your field would look like when you make those attacks. So for the grade 1s, the most important grade 1 in this deck is actually Ambush Dexter. And yeah, Daisy also a little bit. Why are these so important? Ambush Dexter helps you to get the right grade 3s to the field. And that is very important because he, by himself, could give you a very good field out of nothing. If you have a Lucifer on the field, this guy could basically make Lucifer into 2 Emperors. You could also make Lucifer into Emperor and a Lucifer, so you get a counter charge back. There's lots of things you could do with him. Also, he's also a good right target. So, again, amazing. Daisy is good because whenever you have only 1 counterblast with your Emperor turn, she could give you 2 attacks because Reverse could call anything out of your deck, while Emperor himself could only call grade 2 or higher. So that's why she was less important in his build, but she's way more important when you play the Reverse because Reverse costs a counterblast And if you want to go full combo, then you need 2 counterblasts because he costs a counterblast as well. But because she doesn't, you could pretty much call her and she could call something else, and with 1 counterblast you have done your combo. So that's why, again, she is very important. And as I said, check the combo video out to understand how good she is. Gloria is also very important, the same as having the fullback in your hand. You need a Gloria or a fullback to make your combo stronger, to get 1 extra attack or to draw 1 extra card. She also leave an open regular circle behind her, which means you could pretty much call Daisy there. Again, all have been explained in the combo video. Last card you have, or you could add in the grade 1, are actually a couple of cards. You could choose to add 1 more Gloria or 1 more Daisy. You could choose to add Punter. You could choose to add Verdi. Pretty much many options that you could add. One other option that you also have is, of course, Dudley William himself, which makes your first grade 3 ride also more effective because you could move the marker once. So again, also a good card that goes to Soul, which is good because it leaves an open regular circle behind him. And again, moves the marker. So again, a very good card that could plus in the early game and they'll go back to the Soul. Very good, very effective. But Verdi for me is just better because again, he could Soul heal Guardians. He becomes a 13 with the Emperor's even higher, stronger attacker. So yeah, just a good card. Good right target as well. Both of them are. Now we come to the grade 2. Again, the 2 important cards you need to keep in your grade 2 lineup are Spruits and Davy. Sprout we already explained, he could draw you an extra card with Emperor and the Emperor Reverse because again, him going to the Soul is not a cost but to complete his effect. So you could always just put him back in your deck to activate and trigger the Reverse skill but still draw a card out of him. Remember, you will first activate the Reverse skill completely and then you will draw from him, so you could not draw and discard that card. And then Davy doesn't really need that much explanation because again, the card is just amazing. It doesn't really give you Soul in this deck because again, you will not move the markers during the battle phase in this deck, but for the counterblast of 1 you could get a something out of your deck, which is not a grade 2, which basically if you have Soul you will go to Daisy and Daisy will give you an Emperor or a Lucifer, but yeah, if you don't have counterblast then you will not go into him. And also a very good grade 2 right target as he pretty much give you Lucifer for free. And you could Lucifer that into using Dexter, and Dexter will make the Lucifer to something else, to Emperors most of the time. Now we have fullback. So again, the same as Gloria, new card. If you guys don't know what it does, again, I could explain it to you, but the video we done on Meta Nerd's channel already explained that. So basically, he is a combination of Brachy and Linebacker. He could attack from the back row when he's placed, and at the start of your turn he goes to the Soul to call a new one and give it an extra 10k. But basically a very good combo extender, another attack from the back row, and using him with Emperor is just really good because he power him up and then he enables the skill of the Reverse, which is good. The grade 3s, yeah, we've talked about this before. Lucifer, you need to have 3 copies of him in the deck. Why? Because just 1 or 2 is not enough if you want to go full combo and go back to Lucifer again and again. Because sometimes you will go through 2 or even 3 Lucifers in one turn. Mostly 2. Because you will basically use Davy's skill when you ride into him and to call a Lucifer, use the Lucifer to countercharge, and then you could call a Dexter, and the Dexter will make the Lucifer into another Lucifer and an Emperor if you think your opponent will not give you the counterblast back, or you could just go 2 Emperors, but sometimes you just do this. So you have done 2 Lucifers in one turn, and if you play only 2, then there's a big chance you will not have enough Lucifers in your deck to do the combo. So yeah, important to have 3. Throughout my testing, I really needed the 3rd one, so I keep playing 3. Dudley Emperor, Dudley Emperor Reverse. Alright, so 2 cards we need to explain, especially which you want as a right target. If you go first, riding into the normal Emperor is actually not that bad, because the Emperor Reverse first ability you could not really get off, because your opponent needs to be a grade 3 for you to get the extra drive check. Yes, he could gain the power, but locking one of them, you actually kind of lose more power, so you don't want to do that. Or maybe you have something else on the field that you want to lock. So riding into normal Emperor is actually not that bad, because the next turn when you ride into the Reverse, you could actually still get the first skill off of Emperor, but then you do lose an Emperor into your soul. So normally you will just still ride into the Reverse and then call these in the back row, because you still get the second skill of the Emperor Reverse. So if the Reverse is almost as good as Emperor himself, why do we play the Reverse? Well, basically because you have more ride targets. Before that, sometimes we had to ride into Lucifer, which you don't want, because it doesn't plus, it doesn't really do that much, except, yeah, he could call something from hand, but again, he calls from hand, so you don't really have all the options that you have in your deck. So having the Reverse in the deck means you have more Emperors to call on your field. You could just have a field looking like this, and this is just a very good field. So that's what makes the Reverse actually good, is the fact that you don't have to ride into your Emperor. And then to talk more about the Reverse, of course he gives you drive check, of course he becomes stronger, but basically the 2 differences, or the biggest difference between these 2 are, is he makes your rear guards better, stronger, and he actually becomes better and stronger himself. The combination between the 2 is perfect, because he doesn't send the rear guards back to the deck to activate his ability or trigger his ability, while the Emperor himself do send them back. So the Reverse needs Emperor to work. That's why you need 4, because you need as much of them on the field as you can for more power. Alright, normally I would go right now into the combo, but because I've already done the combo video, I will not do that. Are there other cards that you could put in the deck? Yes, there are. If you look at the other options that we have, especially in the grade 2 lineup, you have cards like Rona that you could add to the deck, and you have cards like Mason that you could add to the deck. Mason is good because Mason makes the first attack better, because it makes it very awkward for your opponent to guard. Again, we have talked about this in the Meta Nerds video, so I don't want to go too much into it. Rona is a very good right target, especially because she doesn't have the Dudley name, and because she doesn't have the Dudley name, you could not use Emperor skill, so your rear guard will stay on the field. So again, it's pretty good. But that's actually it for this video. Thank you all for watching, thank you for enjoying our content, for liking, commenting, and of course subscribing to the channel. If you have any questions, you could always ask us, let us know in the comment section below, or contact me on Facebook. Most of you guys just do that because they find it easier and they get a faster answer. But pretty much up to you. Alrighty, thanks again, until next time.